But could it be all this distraction is over one man with very little power, Jamal Khashoggi, where it all seemed to begin? Remember earlier I said this is a serious matter? It's way more serious than you can imagine. Let's start with Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. This guy's a beast. In June 2017, Mohammed and his supporters carried out an extraordinary power grab, detaining the next in line designated Crown Prince Mohammed bin Nayef. I may be saying his name wrong. A 57-year-old grandson of the founding Saudi monarch. He emerged from his detainment to issue a humiliating public pledge of loyalty to his much younger cousin Mohammed, relinquishing the title of Crown Prince. If that isn't enough, Prince Mohammed detained hundreds of wealthy Saudis, including members of the royal family, at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel and forced them to surrender billions of dollars in assets for their freedom.
Back at home, an alarming show of force and what Western business leaders suggest was a key turning point. After hosting a large international investment conference, he used the same venue, the Ritz-Carlton, to arrest more than 300 Saudi businessmen and seize assets of $100 billion. And some say the suspected killing of journalist Jamal Khashoggi will only make matters worse.
So there will be less and less trust in the prospect of Saudi Arabia moving ahead.
The numbers support that view. Foreign investment hit a 14-year low last year, and an estimated $80 billion of money fled the country, with another $65 billion expected this year. MBS appeared as an agent of change, but is now being viewed as too impulsive for his own good.
This image of a reformer, young, vibrant prince has been somehow eroded.
In a region that, as a result of his actions, is riskier than ever. John Defterios, CNN, Abu Dhabi.
Long story short, Jamal Khashoggi left Saudi Arabia in fear of the prince cracking down on critics. He landed a job at the Washington Post. While in Turkey taking care of some paperwork to get remarried, Saudi agents got wind of his appointment and intercepted Jamal in the building.
What worrying me the most is one-man rule. We need reform.
Recently, a Saudi columnist, an economist, who was close to the royal court, got arrested. And that scared many people, because here we are talking about somebody who's close to the government.
أحب أن أؤكد أنه المواطن جمال غير موجود في القنصلية ولا في المملكة العربية السعودية، والقنصلية والسفارة تبذل جهودهم للبحث عنه، ونشعر حنا بقلق أزاء هذه القضية.
Saudi Arabia, they're an ally, and they're a tremendous purchaser of not only military equipment, but other things. When I went there, they committed to purchase $450 billion worth of things.
They had everything planned, taking out the cameras around the building and even using a body double of Jamal in an attempt to cover their tracks. But they made one fatal error. They were unaware that they were being audio recorded. The recording had the sounds of Jamal being subdued and the chilling sounds of a bone saw being used. Turkey not playing either. They want justice for this act. They're calling for the death penalty of everyone involved. Some even calling for the removal of the prince from power. It gets worse. Several countries are distancing themselves and backing out of arms deal with Saudi Arabia. Major corporations are backing out a business deal with the Saudi kingdom. Makes you wonder why Trump pulled the troops out of Syria. He even said that Iran could do what they want. Iran and Saudi Arabia are enemies. This whole situation puts a kink in the New World Order's plans. Trump is being pressured to do something about it, especially since at the time Jamal resided in America and works for the Washington Post. But this puts Trump in a very difficult position. Remember when Trump was running for office? He was all against Saudi Arabia.
This is amazing.
On the campaign trail, Trump threatened to stop importing Saudi oil, saying he wanted independence from, quote, America's foes and the energy cartels.
Now they're best buddies, especially since he has business dealings with them too. It's all a game they're playing on the American people. Just like Obama before he was in office was adamantly anti-LGBT, then turned around and made same-sex marriage a law after becoming president. It's all a game. Getting back to Trump, this situation puts him in a difficult position because he has little control over it. Here's the problem. About 40 years ago, America came up with this brilliant idea to save the dying world currency, the US dollar, by making a deal with the Kingdom of Saudi in exchange for arms and personal mercenary. They would sell their oil to all countries for the dollar only, and we will fight for them in proxy wars. Every country importing oil from Saudi Arabia will have to use US currency. This is what kept the value to the dollar all these years. I've been to Saudi Arabia once, even met the king at the time. He thanked us for the job we did in Desert Storm. You know what? The moment I said that, I just realized we was mercenaries. I never looked at it that way before. I mean, why would I? They never tell us the real reason we're fighting for. That's something. Anyway, even if America wanted to cut ties with the Saudis, we can't. That move would possibly crash the dollar and the whole world would change overnight, and not in a good way. All because of the death of one man. This is what I mean when I say all it takes is one person to change the reality of the whole. Now look where we're at.
In a stunning White House press release exonerating Saudi Arabia in the murder of Washington Post writer Jamal Khashoggi, President Trump seemed to dismiss reports indicating Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman was involved in the killing, writing, maybe he did and maybe he didn't. The statement coming just before the president was to receive a report from the CIA about the murder.
We're going to have a report on Tuesday, and it'll be very complete.
A senior U.S. official says the CIA has assessed the Crown Prince directed the murder of Khashoggi. And just a few days ago, Vice President Pence said everyone involved would be held to account.
The United States is absolutely committed to ensuring that all of those responsible are held accountable.
The president has been steadfast in his commitment to the Saudis as allies, and this is just the latest show of support.
At the same time, we do have an ally, and I want to stick with an ally that in many ways has been very good.
The statement points to the economic ties between the two countries. Quote, the kingdom agreed to spend and invest $450 billion in the United States. This is a record amount of money, but the State Department says the U.S. has only received $14.5 billion as part of the deal. The statement coming after weeks of measured rhetoric about the role the Crown Prince may have played in the murder, going against evidence from the American intelligence community.
He told me that he had nothing to do with it. He told me that, I would say, maybe 5 times.
Best case scenario, they keep you distracted long enough for them to work out a deal while you forget all about it, which most of you already have till I just brought it back up. Or they remove Prince Mohammed from power. Worst case, the dollar crashed sooner than anticipated and Saudi Arabia starts selling oil for gold instead of dollars, and the US would try to avoid that at all costs. Even while this crisis is happening, Trump single-handedly and deliberately crippling this country at the worst possible moment. It goes to show you he couldn't care less what happens to this country as long as he gets what he wants, with his "if I go down, we all go down" mentality. Maybe he was told to do it as a distraction for the fate of this country, or maybe he's doing it for his own selfish reason and using this particular time, which would work in his favor. For the latter, there's two things I don't understand. What's the point of having a Congress if you allow the president to become a dictator? And what's the mentality level of his supporter if you see what he's doing and you're still okay with it? Because the shutdown doesn't affect you doesn't mean it's right. But trust me, it will affect you in the long run. The best advice I could give is to hold on to your money till things settle, cut back on your lavish spending, and follow the Khashoggi story. This may or may not have an effect, but keep an eye on gold and silver prices to see if they start spiking. But before I go, I have to say I really appreciate you guys, and when I say guys, I mean ladies too. You still send me comments asking when and that you're waiting for the next video. That's the coolest feeling, the feeling of being missed. I really do appreciate that. Thank you so much. I'll try not to make it so long next time. My next project, there is something I wanted to talk about that I've been thinking about for a few months. For being patient, I'll give you a hint. What if all possible realities, instead of happening at the same time, was actually all dormant until consciousness hits it? Trust me, it's way better than what it sounds. Again, thank you, and thank you for sharing your time with me.